I'm Mel Barrett.
I'm Rebecca Lavoie.
And welcome to Something's Off, a true crime podcast where we talk about things that make us go, what the fuck? What the fuck? We are in day 6 of the Brian Walshe trial. And so I wanted to talk about that briefly because yesterday's testimony was some of the most disturbing. And unfortunately, it's making me think I'm going to lose this bet with you. But we can get into it in a minute. And I know that there are some other updates that you might have. Actually, you know what? First of all, before we go any further, thanks everybody for the tips. We received several tips that the subject line said "yo yo yo," which is a reference to our last.
Get what you asked for.
Yeah, and while you're here, if you're here right now watching us, please smash that subscribe, like the video, comment. That helps our algorithm, and we get to move around a little bit more within the YouTube sphere. So do that, and thank you. And do you have any updates you want to talk about, Rebecca, or any tangents you want to go on?
I've got a couple of minor ones, okay? I just wanted two things. I do want to discuss the McAlbert's website in a second and an update that I have from there. But first, I just want to say, I said this before in the show, Twitter is not real life. And silence is not compliance on Twitter. I mean, I don't know how you feel about this, but like, you don't have to tweet about being anti-genocide to actually be anti-genocide and the things in your life that you can do to actually take action on something. You don't have to tweet about hating somebody or thinking that what somebody did was patently wrong if you can just talk to that person and tell them. And I think that when I'm tweeting in particular about behavior that I see that's disturbing, such as posting screenshots of tweet threads, and by the way, a lot of people do this on every side of every issue related to the Karen Read case. I've always thought it was deeply weird. That's not new. But it's for an audience. That stuff, what people are trying to do, they must do it because they must defend themselves. On Twitter?
Right.
Really? You don't need to, all the stuff you're doing here, what is the desired real life outcome that you want? And what is the best way to get there? And if the real life outcome that you want is just vengeance and embarrassing somebody publicly, sure. I mean, maybe that is the real life outcome that's desired here with all of these sharing of personal texts and trying to prove someone lied and whatever. That's fine. If your desired outcome is to embarrass somebody, to make them feel bad, to get thousands of people on your side who aren't really real people in your life, then great, tweet away. Yeah. But if your desired outcome is a real life outcome, you don't have to tweet about it. And I certainly don't have to tweet about it. I'm not required to respond and engage with every criticism of anything. So anyway, that's what I want to say about that. Do you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, I mean, I think that if I were anybody that, if I were involved at all with any of the folks that were Karen Read adjacent, Turtle Boy, whomever, I think I would go off grid. I think I would go into hiding. I wouldn't put anything in text and I wouldn't talk to anybody because whatever I say is going to make its way onto Twitter or YouTube or someplace. And that's just not how we should be living.
Right.
Like I shouldn't, of course I know that whatever I put in text, email, on the internet lives in the forever.
Correct.
And can be used at any time. I get that.
Correct.
But we are not living in my day-to-day communications, I'm not concerned that my friends are going to take my messages and post them publicly to embarrass me or to defame me, or not defame, but to, cause strife. So this seems like it's the MO of this community.
Yes.
And I hate it. I hate it so much because, it's, I'm all for whistleblowers. Don't get me wrong. Like within the government, I think that whistleblowers are necessary. I think that if there's anything nefarious going on, that you are a witness to and you are in a position to let the public know about it, that is super important.
Right.
But this like squabbling back and forth and personal stuff and revenge porn and it's so gross. And I don't want us to, it makes me think this is where we're moving into as a society, that because we record everything now. So,
right.
Every time you see those videos online of a Karen who's harassing somebody, that person is recording them. Very often she's recording back and the cops are involved. But it's just like, sometimes I think that we pull our cameras out, we pull our phone cameras out to get something started so that we have the content to post online. And I hate that for us.
Yeah. I think
That's my
that I agree with you on the texting. Anything you text somebody, you can say someday, maybe technically could be public. And you got to be willing to stand behind those communications. I mean, I had a relatively, potentially very embarrassing situation in 2023 where I attended an event that was a complete fucking fire festival disaster. And there were some sort of bad actors at that event. And then I was in a group text about it, and it got gossipy and it got weird. And I saw some people leave, and the people that left then talked about the text thread on their podcast or whatever.
Yep.
And so I reached out directly to the person that I knew I had said something cheeky about, you know, about their hair or about something. And I just said, listen, I think we should talk. This is not a proactive attempt for me to get you to like me or whatever. But like, I was a part of this thing. I got swept up in it. I definitely said some embarrassing things. I don't actually think you were in the wrong. And I just want to apologize to you because, you know, it's not public. Like what I actually texted wasn't public, but like the sentiment, I'm apologizing for the sentiment, not for the fact that I sent the text. And I just think that people lose sight of the fact that they are making content and it's in there. And when you're being, I mean, if that's what you want to do, then do that. But don't be performative and pretend it's for some greater good or you're going to achieve some, you know, like the FBI is not actually watching your tweets. So anyway, so can we talk about the McAlbert website for a second?
Yes, please, because what a shit show that is.
Yeah. So the Give, Send, Go page that they are raising funds for, and I'll just say again, anyone is allowed to raise money for anything they want, and anyone's allowed to donate money to anything they want.
Especially when it comes to like legal defense. I mean, the only time that I feel like besides Brian Walshe, who has a public defender who happens to be absolutely fucking amazing, anytime that you are in a courtroom and you are not represented well, you're in trouble, you know? And so sometimes you have to pay a lot of money to get a good lawyer, as Karen Reed well knows.
It's my personal opinion that the Give, Send, Go for the McAlberts and Higgins is more of a PR campaign than a fundraising campaign. It is to create an impression to the public that there's a ton of support behind this group of people and thereby discrediting Karen Reed as they all go into civil suit world. I really believe that's what's going on here.
That's your opinion.
That's my opinion. And, you know, perhaps there's somebody in that group of people. I mean, look who's not named. The O'Keeffes are certainly not named in terms of helping them with their legal fund. And yet all this money, everyone is doing it in the name of a dead man. And so even if intentions are good or whatever, first of all, I don't donate to any political causes or legal funds. That's just, it's part of the ethics of my day job. But also I feel like I can't talk about legal cases if I've donated to any kind of fund. So, but what's happening right now on the McAlbert's Give, Send, Go page is that there are actors, people who are making small donations to the page under other people's names. You know, Karen Reed, YouTube personalities, bloggers, Karen Reed's lawyers, Karen Reed's dad. And basically what they're doing is they're putting somebody's name there with a fake message. That's usually they're insulting to the person or a twisting of something they said, but it's designed to be performative. So someone did that with me. Someone put my name up and they took something I had tweeted, which was, you know, I basically retweeted this like long tweet from this campaign and said, you know, they used a Martin Luther King quote. That's literally all I said. Because to me, it's honestly weird when people use Martin Luther King for causes that have nothing to do with civil rights, civil disobedience, racial justice, whatever. Like that, those quotes are appropriate in those circumstances, in my opinion. They're not appropriate when you're trying to advance your PR cause or even raise money for your civil defense. Like it's not an appropriate place to use the Martin Luther King quote. And that's what I was referring to, but I didn't really comment on it. I just observed it. And then somebody made a donation for $5 in my name to this Give, Send, Go campaign and basically said, you're not allowed to, as me, pretend to be me, you can't use a Martin Luther King quote if you're white, blah, blah, blah. That's racist, blah, blah. Nothing like anything like what I said. I have my own feelings about the race part of it, but I did not share them and I would never put them online in that form. So I wrote to Denise, who is Jen McCabe's sister and who runs the campaign, yeah. Denise Galvin. It's right there on the campaign that this is all funds go to Denise Galvin. Denise Galvin started the campaign. And the way that
remind the audience who Denise is?
Yeah, Denise is Jen McCabe's sister, and Denise was there when she was creating the timeline with Carrie Russell about what happened.
Roberts.
Oh, sorry, Carrie Roberts and Carrie Russell. Imagine that. Imagine if the star of the Diplomat in Felicity and the American and
the Americans,
Homeland or whatever. Yeah, the Americans was on making that timeline. But anyway, so Carrie Roberts and Jen McCabe were there, and Denise Galvin was there when they were constructing this timeline that then Jen McCabe relied on and Carrie Roberts relied on to help with their memory during certain testimony. So anyway, I wrote to Denise, and the main way initially I saw to write to her was through this feature called Prayers on the site.
Yeah.
So I wrote a prayer.
Testify.
And my prayer was, please reject the donation, remove my name. I'm Rebecca Lavoie. I have a unique name. I am a journalist and podcaster, public figure, and this is something that I did not and would never say in a public forum. So she read it. I saw that she read it in my inbox because in Give, Send, Go, there's all these features like inbox, but I didn't get a response. And frankly, because she read it, I was like, she should maybe just write back a response saying like, no, or okay, but got nothing.
No.
So I wrote to Give, Send, Go. They do have a help link, which I tweeted, and I'm happy to share if you want to put it in the show notes. And I just said, I haven't heard back from this campaign, but there is a pattern on this campaign of using other public figures' names and making donations in their name with quotes. And I'm only writing on my own behalf. I'm not writing on other people's behalves. But I assure you that if you look at the names on donations, they will not match the names on payment method. And the terms of service on Give, Send, Go for the user, for the donator, are that you can't do that. You can't make a donation in someone else's name unless you are saying in memory of, in honor of, like putting yourself at one step removed. So those donors are violating the terms of service. Denise Galvin has the ability to edit those messages or have those messages play differently. I believe I've never run a campaign there. It's a conservative platform. That, for instance, it's a conservative. It's billed as the conservative alternative to Kickstarter, and it has a connection to Truth Social. You can like share a truth from the website, and they will let you raise funds for anything other than things like abortion and what they perceive as liberal causes. So anyway, they are now trending. They are on the front page of the Give, Send, Go site as a trending campaign, and we see the same people donating again and again. If you look at the donors and leaving comments again and again, certainly a strong PR message to show a lot of donations adding up to a specific amount of money. Good on for them. But I wanted my name off of it. And so I heard right back from Give, Send, Go. And they said, yeah, we looked at this. We removed your name. Campaign's under review anyway. And so you don't have to worry about that. So I'm just on the lookout for that to happen again. It's against the terms of service of the site. What Denise's responsibility there for donor terms of service is unclear to me, but I would think that she would want the campaign to have integrity and to not be called into question as a result of this. So, I mean, I assume I'm trying to be fair here.
It's very generous of you, Rebecca.
Anyway, so I suggest to folks that if this happens to you, to go directly to Give, Send, Go. They're extremely responsive and they send back a very chipper reply, and they help you out. So that's what I did.
Good. I noticed you weren't the only one. Obviously, people have donated in the name of Turtle Boy. I was watching the Peter Tragos, the lawyer stream, a few days ago, maybe last week. And people were commenting on his live, hey, someone is donating to the McAlberts under your name. And he, in the moment was like, that's not me. I would never, like the same reason you would never, which is because he is a lawyer and he's talking, not necessarily giving legal advice, but he's talking about these cases. So why would he donate money to a certain side and promote that side then on his live? So he made that very clear in the live. You sent me a couple of texts, a couple of screenshots from the site that were in the name of Karen Reed's dad. And I was so disgusted.
It's gross.
It's so gross. They were talking about her medical, they were saying, basically the commenter was saying their name was Karen Reed's dad's name, and he was openly talking about her medical issues on a legal fundraiser website. It was so gross. What is wrong with these people?
Yeah.
I just don't get it, but I'm glad that they responded and they took your name off of it. I was pretty pissed too. I sent over a message as well, saying, that it hadn't affected me, but it had affected you and other people that I knew, and that they needed to look into it. I'm sure we might get some pushback because we are dinging the site and it's under review, but I think that's the right thing to do when people are acting this way.
Yeah, I mean, it's potentially, it crosses a line into defamatory behavior as well, because you are putting fake words into my fake mouth. And I, as a public figure with a unique name, you can count on less than 10 fingers the number of Rebecca Lavoies in the United States. I know that. Weirdly, though, one of them lives in the next town over from me, weirdly. But anyway.
Well, it's New Hampshire. I actually think there are quite a few Lavoies in New Hampshire.
There are. There's a pool company. There's a bunch of businesses. I don't know any of them. But people know how to what SEO means. And if you Google someone's name, things they've tweeted come up, websites they're part of, their media projects come up, the quotes and they've given articles can come up. And I really would be very uncomfortable if the quote attributed to fake me on this website were part of the SEO under my name. Not because it's embarrassing, but because it's a lie. It's not true. Yeah. And that was an intentional. I mean, one of the prongs of defamation is knowingly, and then intentionally. So that is an intentional and knowing
2 prongs
attempt to make me look bad in public. So anyway, it's so far for now taken care of, and hope that it doesn't happen again. I just want to leave it there.
Well, I'm glad that it was taken care of. All right. Anything else you want to chat about?
No, I'm dying to hear about the Brian Walshe trial. I have not been able to watch it, but I do get live text updates from you. And I did see on the Fox 25 YouTube channel the video of him in Lowe's buying all the stuff and checking himself out in a camera. Was that what I saw?
Yeah, that's the clip I sent you, which was, and the worst part about this, well, not the worst part, but one of the bad things about this is that he took his son with him to buy
a dismemberment and cleanup kit
to get rid of his mother. Yeah. And in the middle of so he's at self-checkout. I'll put this video in later when we're talking about it, but he's basically in a self-checkout. I am blown away by how clear all these surveillance cameras are. I'm so used to seeing grainy gas station footage. This is
grainy Sally Port footage. This is what cameras actually look like these days.
Yeah, high quality surveillance in the CVS and the Lowe's and the Walgreens and Stop and Shop. And to the point where when he's at Stop and Shop, the camera's behind him and he's at self-checkout and you see him go like this at the screen. And I can see on the screen, because I've been in this situation before, that it says we're sending help. It's the outline of the little guy on the screen that's hold on, we're sending help. And he's all pissed off. Almost every place he goes, he has to have help checking out. And the only thing that I notice, so we sort of established that it has been diagnosed as a narcissist. So narcissistic personality disorder. It's very apparent.
Does that come out in court?
Yeah, it hasn't come out in court, but it did happen. So part of, I don't know if it was many, many years ago. It's something I'm going to need to look up. But he was, if you remember, he was evaluated to see if he was mentally able to stand trial. Do you remember that? And the judge said he's fine. Yeah. From what I understand, he was diagnosed with NPD a while ago. I think I don't even know if it had anything to do with this trial, but it's very apparent in these videos. The video that I sent you, just a very quick clip, which I'll show, like I said, is him at the self-checkout with his son. He's sort of interacting with his son. And then he has a moment where his eye catches the camera and that he's on the camera. And he fixes his hair and then smiles into the camera.
As I can do by looking over at my little picture of myself right here that I can see on our...
Exactly. But he was just and he's wearing he's wearing this popped collar kind of I don't know. Anyway, but that moment may have sealed his fate.
80 movies villain moment.
Yeah.
That I am doing a villainous thing and also really care about my bangs.
But here's the crazy thing. Like this is after Anna is dead, obviously, because this was like, I think it was the 2nd of January. He's getting all these cleanup supplies, which the only thing I can say about this is that he waited. To me, it seems like he waited until after she was dead to start going, oh shit, I guess I got to go clean this up, which again is not premeditated.
Yeah.
So there's that. But yeah, so he's with his son.
That's a choice. That's an
I know that's
take.
a choice. It's a weird, like, I mean, but that's what's happening. He's like, he waited. She's obviously dead. And he spent 2 days going and buying stuff to get rid of the evidence.
I wonder where she was. I mean, this is gruesome detail.
So
but if he had the kids, then where was she?
So this actually comes up in the forensics that they go over in trial yesterday, because if in fact she, let's just, devil's advocate, let's say she did die suddenly in her sleep, that would have been in the bedroom, and they didn't find pretty much any blood evidence, forensic evidence of anything in the bedroom, which I found very odd, because the bedroom is the place where there's the hole in the ceiling and all that. So let me get into it. But yeah, I think that footage pretty much did him in. And the timing of it freaks me out, because it would be 2 days after she died. He's there with his son buying cleanup supplies, but also his demeanor in looking at himself in the camera and smirking. His wife is dead.
Yeah.
And I think the jury's going to look at that and be like, this guy has no conscience. He has no feelings. Something's wrong with him. And very obviously, because at that point he had already contacted, I think, her work. He had already had an interview with the cops. He should be frantic. He shouldn't be out buying all these supplies. He should be frantic. The crazy thing is, he had an interview with the cops in his home. Where was her body?
Right.
It wasn't in the basement. They went into the basement.
Right. Didn't they
in the bedroom.
Other properties?
They did. But I don't think they were anywhere near enough that he could have, that they were, I don't know. I mean, I know that they owned other properties, but I don't know what the distance was between them. I know that his mom lived almost an hour away.
Yeah.
So, and some of the places he was going, so I think he went to like the Weymouth Lows as well as the like Cohasset area Lows. And that was a bit of a distance. So anyway, let me get into the testimony. We heard, so Tipton had a rough day. I'll say that.
Who's Tipton? Remind us.
Tipton is Brian Walshe's public defender. He's sort of the lead on the team. He's very good. He's really grasping at straws. He's doing the best that he can, kind of thing. The prosecution hasn't been great so far, but I think yesterday they had a pretty good day. So they started with the assistant medical examiner, who was called to, sort of explain the forensic significance of the items that were covered in the trash, because you'll remember there's no body, there's no autopsy, there's no need for a medical examiner. They brought a medical examiner on to look at some of these items that were covered. So he actually examined rugs, carpets, cloth pieces, all the other stuff that was found in the trash bags that is linked to Brian's sort of disposal route. The medical examiner found red brown stains, blood clots, and a white clumpy biological material on several pieces of the carpet and rug that were taken from the bedroom. And my main thought, and I don't know if this came out in testimony, but my thought was, well, sure, that's all of the baking soda that he bought. Like, it's used to, pull blood from the rug, and it clumped, and there's peroxide, and there's all this stuff. So he found blood clots, he found red stains, white clumpy biological material, but he could not, obviously, he couldn't determine any cause or manner of death because he had no body. Right. And he also explained that though the biological material appeared consistent with blood and tissue, no body equals no autopsy, so they could not conclude homicide versus natural or accidental. So the interesting thing is, this is where Tipton, I think, really failed. So he got up to cross. he was able to get a few things in that definitely could sprinkle reasonable doubt with the jury. So he brought up, he basically went through every possible cause of sudden accidental death, sexual asphyxia, you know what I mean? Like everything. He didn't get anywhere with it because this ME was basically like, yeah, people die all the time suddenly. And then people also die suddenly, not from natural causes. So he made the medical examiner was great. He really handled, and I think Tipton stumbled because he was asking just ridiculous things, and he was mispronouncing medical terms, which was a big problem. Like he would say, he almost said vaginal, but he was trying to say vaginal, and what he actually meant was like the vagus nerve. And he kept mispronouncing it, and the medical examiner had to correct him. And so I think that the jury probably was like, yeah, this isn't going so well. But the things he was able to get out on cross, in the coming witnesses, I think were a little bit more helpful, but the medical examiner didn't do him any favors. And then I do think I was listening to Peter Tragos talk about this, because he and his dad had talked about whether I don't know if you remember from the opening, but Tipton mentioned that they were going to have medical experts to come on to talk about, accidental death or sudden, death. I assume they're going to bring their own experts in, but Peter Tragos, his dad, was saying that he thought they were going to try to get what they needed from this guy, not bring on their own experts. And Peter Tragos was like, I think that's a bad idea. And his dad's like, I think it's a bad idea too, but I think they're going to do it. And he went ahead and did it. But I don't know if they're going to bring extra experts. Go ahead.
Wait, who was the guy that they thought they would get everything they needed from? Which guy?
The medical examiner.
Okay. All right.
The medical examiner for the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing was the Commonwealth actually kind of set up the defense as far as Peter Tragos was looking at it. And I thought that was an interesting point because they didn't ask any questions. They didn't have him break down all the different reasons why Anna could have died. And then so there was a redirect, and the redirect is where he did all of his magic. Basically, the prosecutor did all of his magic because he was like, "You didn't have a body. Can you tell us how Anna died?" And he was like, "No." And so they went through a few of the things that Tipton had brought up, and he sort of dispelled that. He's like, yes, of course, accidental, sudden death happens all the time, but in a woman who's 39 years old and relatively healthy and blah, 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 usually not. Tipton was able to get in, well, accidental sudden death may happen because someone travels a lot. Sure. Someone is stressed out because of work. Sure. Someone works out too much. Sure. All of those things that someone could be taking hormone replacement therapy. Sure. All of those things Anna could have been doing.
That can cause accidental death.
Apparently.
No one told me that when I signed up for
I know. Right. So, yeah. So I don't know. He didn't do a great job. After that, they brought on human resources from Tishman Speyer. So this woman, Amanda Miller, she did not want to talk to Tipton. She was borderline hostile as far as I was concerned, although people from inside the room said the jury actually responded really well to her. They thought she was very honest. She was one of the first people that Brian spoke with and let her know that Anna was missing. And she actually had gone to Anna's place. She worked directly with the Tishman Speyer security guy. And here's where I thought Tipton actually made some inroads, because this is where I texted you about this. This is where he was able to bring up, which we talked about a couple episodes ago, the Mazza building in DC and the Legionnaires breakout. And he was also able to bring up the spy story that we talked about quite a while ago, where those guys had moved into a building that Anna was a property manager on and were spying on all the residents and was working with Secret Service and blah, blah, blah. So he was able to bring both of those things up in the context of, well, what weren't people complaining about Anna? Wasn't she under a lot of stress? And the HR person, did not like that line of questioning, and she really pushed back. And basically she was like, we gave Anna all of her bonuses. She was an amazing employee. No complaints here. But he did make the point that all of the tenants in that building, from the Mazda building, they were all complaining about her and how she handled things. There were rumors about how she handled things with the spy and the FBI spy raid. So, I know.
I'll never get over that.
What is this case? I don't understand. One of the things that's come out in testimony, and neither side has really pushed it home. Both Brian and Anna lied a lot. They lied to everybody, even something as small as, it seems like Anna lied to get a discounted, pass to go to her bar classes. And she lied to William Fastow about Brian. And they both were convenient liars. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I
they
do.
use little white lies to get past everything.
I do. The discount passes to the bar class thing is funny. Like, it is so, I find I am not rich. I am, but I find that it takes so much work to game systems in that way.
Yeah.
That it's like, what is your time worth? For real? Like, what is your time worth? That it's worth, like, pretending to have however it is that she got it. It's like, it usually takes some work.
Yeah.
And it's just not worth it. So anyway, that's just
and
my opinion.
I have a little sidebar on that too. So that we'll get into this in a moment, but just so everybody knows, it appears that Brian Walshe also, not only did he bring his son along with him on his murder supply or his, dismemberment supply runs, and he not only did he mug for the cameras, it also appears that he used CVS coupons to buy his dismemberment supplies.
This is an IT guy, right? It's an IT guy.
He's not really. He's a dumbass, in my opinion.
But that's data. I mean, if you get those coupons, like, it's all, CVS has so much consumer data. They have so much, because you have to pay $3 more for your vitamins if you don't give them your phone number, essentially. Is how CVS works. And then they print you out these 7-foot-long receipts that have coupons on them that are 75% useless, and then 1/4 of them are fucking awesome, like 20% off your whole next purchase or whatever. We have a friend who basically...
Wait, hold on. We have more than one friend. Let me just tell you.
Basically shops at CVS using only coupons. It's not abnormal, but he's got to know that they have the data, right?
I think he's just, like, clueless, because not only did he use a coupon to buy these things, he also then donated his extra change
to whatever cause.
He's just clicking buttons, this guy. But a little bit of a tangent.
That's how he felt like he was a good person that day. I see I'm a good person. I gave 64 cents to kids or whatever.
Was he like, what was he doing in that moment? What was he thinking? I think either he's really dumb, or he really is just so wrapped up in his own little world that he doesn't think about, like, what this looks like or the consequences or anything. But sidebar, tangent. So over Thanksgiving, we had our friend Ellen Marsh from I Think Not, and Shut the Fuck Up, Nick Lachey, and her boyfriend Thomas and Lola in for Thanksgiving. And as most of you know, Ellen is a crazy CVS couponer. She's just a
Nobody
couponer,
watching this knows this. This is a very successful podcaster, Broadway actor, comedian. She's amazing. She's very, very successful. And she shares a lot about her life in her media. And that foible of loving CVS coupons, she's obsessed. She didn't love them. She's obsessed with CVS
She's
coupons.
Obsessed. And so is my partner, Lindsay. And so at Thanksgiving, we were all playing, some sort of a board game or whatever. And on the side, Lindsay and Ellen are comparing notes and going back and forth about what their favorite services are and what coupons they use. And then Ellen pulls up her, like, CVS app, and she tells Lindsay she saved like $1,000 at CVS. And then Lindsay tells Ellen about some secret couponing thing through CVS that Ellen didn't know, blew her mind. And then they're transferring back and forth, like Ellen's sending Lindsay Rakuten to sign up for that because they get a 50, blah, blah. And I'm just like,
Rakuten, by the way, is actually amazing. That's just money. You get money back.
Is absolutely amazing. And Lindsay signed up for it and I signed up for it. But I don't have the wherewithal or the brain capacity in that moment to do those kind of things. So the idea that this guy who just possibly dismembered his wife and is trying to figure out a way to get rid of her body is thinking about coupons.
I mean, he could save 20%. You know what's so funny? It's like,
What the fuck?
what's funny about the CVS coupon situation, sorry for the tangent, is that I'd say probably something like 80%, I don't have the data, I'm just guessing, 80% of purchases at CVS are like, shit, I need this thing, I'm just going to run in and get it. Like very last minute. Like I bought a scale there last week because we had to weigh, we were bringing bags on a plane, and we had a luggage scale, but the bags were too heavy for the luggage scale, but I was at the office, so I bought a human being scale, pick up the bag, whatever. And it was like, sure, I'm somewhere in my car, whatever, I might have a CVS coupon, but like I just fucking needed the scale like immediately. So I know Ellen plans her trips to CVS. She knows what she's going to buy so that she can maximize her coupons.
Yes.
I will do that for, I have American Express and a Chase Sapphire, and they have rewards like that help make up for the very expensive annual fee. And I actually make money off of these credit cards. I use everything because I'm just like, if someone wants to give me something, I'll take it. But I'm going to buy something anyway, and it's last minute, and I'm like, shit, I'm out of hair gel. Like the fact that was like an instinct of his, just it's funny to me. There's something about it. It's also sort of humanizing in a weird way that I don't mean like I like him. I mean like it sort of gives you a sense of his humanity, that would be a thing that pops into his mind as he's buying murder supplies. I'm just going to call them murder supplies. That's my opinion.
I know that, he didn't, we don't know if he murdered her or not. I mean, they did find, well, we'll get into it in a minute, but yeah, I think that, sure, it could humanize him. The way
I don't mean that in a good way. I don't mean that in a good way. It's like, what kind of person is this?
The way that they throw money around this couple, though, I was shocked that he was worried about saving money.
He wasn't worried about it. He was gaming it. It was a game. It's a game thing for him.
Anyway, all right. So after HR, we had some of my favorite witnesses so far because they were all local, like managers of CVS, Stop and Shop, store security, loss prevention, Lowe's, all those people. And almost everybody that took the stand, they were like, how long have you been working at CVS? And they're like, 27 years.
Love that.
27 years here, 24 years here.
Love that.
I'm a lifer, like that kind of thing. So
real people. They were real people.
Real people who I was thinking about this while they were testifying, and I was thinking about like if I had been a manager of a CVS and I had handled like these murder supplies because I was checking this guy out or
alleged murder supplies.
Alleged murder supplies. So he definitely did self-check out in a lot of places, but he also like went to the counter a couple times. The interesting thing is when he would buy something small, like he bought Band-Aids, like I think it was on the first, he used his credit card to buy a box of Band-Aids. But when he went to Lowe's, he paid $400 in cash.
Yeah.
So he knew. I mean, that's the thing. There was some forethought there.
Yeah.
I think.
I'm a regular Lowe's shopper. We have a water treatment system that needs like these bags of salt we go there like a lot, and I get my birdseed there and whatever stuff for the house. I once asked, I had to use the self checkout, and it only works like 50% of the time. So you have to ask, and I apologized to the person. I was like, I'm sorry, you have to help me with this. And they were like, no, it's better if you go to people because it shows that we need to keep working here. And I was like, oh, yes. It gave me a whole different perspective on self checkout. Like, it's not for my convenience. It's so that these corporations can fire people. So always go to a person if you can. That's my advice.
Especially with, like the incoming AI bombs that are about to happen.
Exactly.
I'm using bombs metaphorically, because I think that what's going to be happening with AI is it's just going to be more reason for these major corporations to get rid of actual people. And so listening to these people who have worked in these stores for someone to be, I've worked at those CVS Cohasset for 24 years,
Bless you.
I know. I love it. I love people like that, and I love that they were willing to come in. I mean, obviously they were willing because they were subpoenaed, but I was just thinking like being one of those people and being called into this murder trial.
I know. And in your capacity as a milkshake maker, you're going to be a witness of a murder trial. It's like, I think that, it's a civil duty, right? If you are tangential to a crime or perceived to be tangential to a crime, and you're subpoenaed or you get jury duty, all that is your civil duty. That's civics in action. And so
Yep.
I don't know. It's like, I just hope that CVS pays employees for time off for jury duty. I really hope they do. Some companies do and some companies don't. I hope
That is
CVS is
true.
one of the companies that do.
Yeah, the last time I had jury duty, I worked for myself, obviously, and I didn't want to get out of it. Like, I really wanted to be on a jury, especially it was a case of a young Black woman in Boston who, I don't know the entire thing because I didn't get to sit through the trial, but she had somehow assaulted two Boston cops in some sort of skirmish. She was very young. I really wanted to be on that jury. I really wanted to hear, the ins and outs of what happened. And I did notice, like, there were so many cops in the room when they were picking the jury. And unfortunately, because I worked for myself and didn't make money if I didn't work, I basically was like, I can't be here because I can't survive if I'm
Yeah.
here. But I really wanted to be on that jury. You've been on a jury. You've been a jury foreman or forewoman, haven't you?
I was a jury foreperson in a criminal case, and I was actually at jury duty a few weeks ago, and I didn't make it on the jury. And I'll just give you the brief outlines of this case, and you can tell me what you think.
Yes.
This was a civil case. A woman had suffered a very serious injury. It had many operations and had a lot of pain. What happened to her was she went into a family-owned gas station or convenience store.
Mm-hmm.
And she asked to use the bathroom, and whoever was working just said, that door over there. She went to a door. It was the wrong door, and the door had a sign on it saying employees only. She opened the door, and not only was the wrong door, and just stepped through it, and there was a staircase there with no railing or anything, and so she fell down the stairs. So the question was, are they liable or are they not liable? And all I could think of was, I really wanted to be on this jury because I know that there were people, because the judge bought ears, and there were people literally sitting in the jury pool that were picked who were like, I think if it says no employees, you should just know not to walk through that door. Employees only. And I was just like, how many times have I been in businesses where the bathroom actually is behind an employee's only door? Like many,
for sure, especially at a gas station.
Yeah, or like where I get my manicure, that's what it's like or whatever. And I wasn't saying for sure I would go that way, but I was definitely open to the idea. And I'm also, the defense was really trying to play up the nature of the family owned business part. And I'm like, family owned does not mean family insured. Just throwing it out there. Anyway, I thought it was an interesting case. And
that is interesting. I think I would be leaning toward
we haven't heard the facts. Keep in mind, we hadn't heard the facts.
No, I know, but I'm just thinking of every time. You think about when you go into a grocery, a big grocery store, and you go to the bathroom, and you have to walk
through the stock room.
That's what I'm saying.
In the market basket in Newburyport, Massachusetts, where we vacation every summer. In order to use the bathroom in the Newburyport market basket, you have to walk through literally the giant warehouse stock room where you see guys pushing around giant carts with 10 feet of boxes on them. It's fascinating.
Yeah. Almost every big grocery store that I've ever been into, that's where the bathrooms are. Yeah. So, I mean, I know it's different from a gas station. Anyway, I don't know the facts, but that's a really interesting case. And I'd really love to sit on a jury. I haven't done it yet, so I'm looking.
It's fun. It's your civic duty. So,
yeah, yes, agreed. Okay. So let's get back to the testimony. So we heard from all of these employees of CVS, Walgreens, Lowe's, and they basically walked us through some of these. They didn't really walk us through. They played the videos for the jury. And basically what you're seeing is that, from all of this testimony, they were confirming that Brian Walshe was in the store. They were confirming what was on the receipts. And that was pretty much it. They weren't really used for anything else. And the defense didn't cross any of these people, obviously.
Yeah. They're the lab techs of the case. In the Karen Reed case, were the lab techs who were just saying things that were on the list.
Yeah. They did bring in a security/surveillance analyst. And it was I think it was a police person who was introducing, doesn't really matter, police investigator who was responsible for collecting the videos from the stores and dumpster sites. I think he testified too. They were basically just showing us video of Brian entering and leaving Lowe's with full carts, watching him check out, watching him put each item in the basket. And he was buying hydrogen peroxide and bandages. You could see him. I think it was Stop and Shop. where he had just like 4 or 5 big containers of ammonia, and it's like, and then they introduced like the disposal site surveillance, and they showed him throwing multiple heavy trash bags into dumpsters at several different locations from January 1st to the 3rd. But he also was throwing away small bags too. Like he went to a liquor store and it was after hours, and he like did this weird 3-point turn and then backed into a parking space, even though there were no cars in the parking lot. And then he walks off camera and he goes and he puts like what looked like just a small grocery bag, like a plastic grocery bag full
like
of
her
stuff
hands or something.
Oh God.
Well, remember the Google searches.
Mm-hmm.
Hands, teeth,
all
like
broken
that stuff
teeth.
wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. I'm not trying to make light of it. It's just like I'm thinking as a juror, where I might go if I saw various size bags, I would probably assume different body parts. That's what I would maybe consider anyway.
But there should have been more blood, I think.
Not if it was a post-mortem, the dismemberment. Dead bodies don't bleed.
Post-mortem. No, I know, but where was all the blood that came out of her body?
What when she was being murdered? Potentially?
If she was okay, so what you're saying is, like, let's say she actually did die from an accidental death, like just her heart stopped while she was sleeping.
Yes.
And then he took her into the basement, I guess, to dismember her.
Right. There would not be a ton of blood because dead bodies don't bleed. And the blood coagulates, especially for a couple of days later, it coagulates fairly quickly.
Right. So
I know all of this from the many shitty podcasts I've had to listen to for crime writers on.
And some good. But so I don't know. I just don't know. There should have been more forensics in that house is what I'm saying. And also, let's just think of the timing. December 31st, she dies. That night she dies. It could have been January 1. It could have been early in the morning. From January 1 through 3, he's going and buying all these supplies and bringing them to the house and doing whatever he's doing. And then he's slowly getting rid. I think to me, the way it sounds and the way that it was laid out is she died. He started slowly sort of taking her body apart. This is awful. I hate it.
It's hard. It's hard to dismember a body. It's not easy to do. No. Also, it was winter.
Yeah.
There's an excellent chance he kept her somewhere cool or cold so that the body wouldn't decompose. I know if I murdered you, Mel, and you were in my house and it was this time of year, I'd probably drag you onto my deck and cover you with a tarp, or I'd probably drag you into my garage. You know what I mean? Like, we can leave when we had Thanksgiving dinner a couple weeks ago, like we can make the dishes the day before and leave them in the garage, and you're safe.
Yeah. So. I was making apple cider caramels, and we didn't have any room in the fridge because it was Thanksgiving. So I just put the apple cider. I mean, and I'm in DC. It's a little bit warmer here, but I just threw the apple cider out on the deck because I knew it was going to be, cold enough. But at the same time, he took a lot of risks. I mean, there's there's a nanny that
because
she's
he has
still coming.
NPD, and NPD people don't think like that. They have main character syndrome, as do many people on Twitter. They have main character syndrome, and they believe the world bends to their will.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, the rest of the testimony really just was centered around what they were finding and some of the forensics of it. So they, when he was at Lowe's, he bought like 10 Lowe's buckets, like the Home Depot.
Yes, the blue buckets.
The blue buckets.
I saw, yeah.
Buckets, mops, rags, tarps, bleach, ammonia, hydrogen peroxide, Tyvek suit, gloves, shoe coverings, cutting tools, a framing hammer. And the thing is, you're watching him. We watched all these videos. He's calm. He's meticulous. He has a list. He keeps referencing his list. The only time he didn't seem calm was when he was having to interact with actual people that worked at the stores. There was this one video, and I think it was the first time he went to Lowe's, and he's checking out, and the guy is scanning everything and putting everything in the cart for him. And as soon as the guy's putting it in the cart, he like picks it up, removes it, puts it in a different place. Like, it seemed very, I want to say meticulous, but it almost felt like he was a little OCD about it.
You know what this reminds me of is the Sheila LaBar case. You know that case, right? So
no, I don't. Tell me about
Sheila
that one.
LaBar was a female serial killer in the early 2000s in Epping, New Hampshire. And
Epping, that's where I grew up.
I know a ton about her case because my husband wrote a book about it. I came into it, we kind of met and got together as he was late in the process of the book, so I helped him finish it, and that's how we began our writing partnership. So she was a woman who would basically, using personals ads, hook up with men. She lived in Alabama, and she met this sort of gentleman farmer doctor on through a personals ad in a newspaper back in the day. That's how you met people.
Mm-hmm.
And so she moved to New Hampshire. She lived with him. She basically isolated him from his kids and his family, and then she abused him, potentially poisoned him, and he died. But then she
Oh, wow.
continued to live at the farm, where she would meet and lure developmentally disabled younger men to her farm.
God.
And one of the men, his name was Kenneth County, she had been beating him and potentially, and you'll find out why it's potentially in a minute, potentially slowly poisoning him. And the last time he was seen in public was her pushing him around Walmart in a wheelchair as she purchased the very gas cans that she would later then use to burn his dismembered body. And people in the Walmart were asking him, "Is he okay?" And she would answer for them. She'd be like, "He's fine. He's fine. He's going to be fine." But you see him with the gas can. She's using the wheelchair like as her shopping cart, and he's holding the red gas cans like on his lap.
Oh my God!
And she's later wild case, super wild case. She had a ton of rabbits. She corresponded with my husband when she was in prison, and she would send him weird drawings. And it's a very strange case. It was his sort of final big story when he was a TV reporter, and it became the basis of a book called Wicked Intentions, available wherever you can get your fine mass market paperbacks.
By Kevin Flynn and Rebecca Lavoie, or
this
just
one
Kevin
is just
Flynn?
By Kevin Flynn, although I think I'm in acknowledgments because I did help of that one. Anyway,
I think that's one of the only ones that I haven't read from you guys. I need to read that. And so, where in Epping?
You get off the Circle, okay?
Yep.
If you're coming east on 101, you get off the Circle and you make a left.
Down 101, okay.
And then if you make the left into
Route 4 or 125?
I don't know, probably 125.
It's 125.
Because you sort of pass and then you go down there for a while, and then you make a left onto a road that turns into a dirt road and kind of goes deep into the woods in the creepiest. Talk about, Kevin brought me there once, and
I literally grew up there. You know that I grew up right there.
Yeah, we were driving down this road to LaBar Farm, and it was like
LaBar Farm.
I felt like it was a horse farm. I felt like I was driving to the site of a serial killing. It is the creepiest road, and I mean it. Like I'm not a hyperbolic person when it comes to like crime stuff, but I try to be like a little more measured, but not always, but sometimes. And I don't have like psychic feelings about things. I don't believe in horoscopes, even though I would never judge anyone who did, and I do ask mine when people know about it.
Wait, what's your sign?
I'm a Scorpio. It was the most chilling drive of like my entire life. Yeah, I'm a Scorpio. What are you?
I'm an Aquarius. Usually we don't get along.
We get along great.
We get along great. But Aquarians and Scorpions don't get along very well.
Oh, you got to tell me more about it, because even though I don't believe it, I will totally listen to it.
It's crazy.
I'll believe it while I'm listening to it.
So let me just tell you one really quick tangent story. So these roads that you're talking about, these are the roads I grew up on. So if you go down 125, do you know where the racetrack is?
Yes.
Okay. So if you go around the Circle and head toward the racetrack, on the right-hand side of the road is a giant sign that says Cedar Waters News Park. And you take that right to get to where I grew up, right?
Okay.
So I know all these roads that you're talking about. When I was very young, I loved to be scared. And my uncle took me out for ice cream, my uncle and my aunt, and we were driving in the car, and he decided he was going to go on the back roads to get back to our house, which is these roads that you're talking about. And while he's driving, his wife, my Aunt Joyce, is telling us the story of this guy who lives out in the woods, who has a hook for a hand. And my uncle, we're in his Fiero, and we're driving on these dirt roads, and it's pitch black at night. And so basically for the audience, these are like tiny dirt roads, and then just like trees right up the sides of the road.
Canopy of trees. Canopy
of trees. Like you are in the woods, driving through the woods on a dirt road. My uncle, we get to this hill. My uncle, the car stops, the lights go out. And my uncle's like, "Oh, I don't know what's going on."
That is hard.
My Aunt Joyce is like in the middle of the story. She's like, this guy waits for cars, and he does something to the cars as they go by. And the next thing you know, he's like on the roof with a hook and he's coming for you. So my uncle, he's parked on this hill. The lights are off. I'm freaking the fuck out. I'm in the back. I'm like 8 years old. I'm in the back seat. He starts letting the car slowly fall backwards down the hill. And then my Aunt Joyce, which I'm like on the floor at this point, I can't see what's going on. She's got her hand outside of the car and she's scratching the
These
roof.
people, they traumatized you. You still believe it to this. You still remember to this day. That's traumatic.
I remember my body is getting like tense right now thinking about it. And anyway, I'm screaming. The car's rolling backwards. My dumb uncle probably was drunk and he's got no lights on in the middle of the woods and he's just letting the car fall backwards down a hill.
God.
Not worrying about what it's going to hit, not anything. And I'm freaking out. And then finally, like, he turns the lights on and they start laughing and they think it's hilarious that I'm about to piss myself in the back seat at 8 years old. But anyway, I know these roads.
Is Epping where the Rail Penny Tavern is? I think it is. I love the Rail Penny Tavern. I love it. It's right off 101.
So, yeah, 125. So technically, I grew up in Nottingham, but Epping and Nottingham are right next to each other.
Basically the same. Yeah.
Exeter. Okay. Anyway. Wow, we went really far off. Okay, back to our Lowe's trip. So we had a crime lab forensic technician come on and they had cataloged all these items that were found in the dumpsters: hacksaw, hatchet, hammer, snips, all that stuff. Some of the items contained blood, tissue, and hair, though, again, cause of death couldn't be determined because there's no body. They also confirmed a bunch of Anna's personal items, her jewelry, boots, vaccination card. We went over that before. So basically, just to wrap this up, it sounds to me like, well, like I said at the beginning of this episode, I think that I'm probably going to lose this bet. But I still believe that there's room. So the judge decided they have about 2 weeks left of trial. We still don't know if Brian Walshe is going to testify. I think a lot of people think it's a really bad idea for him to testify, but I don't think that he can go through this trial without testifying. I think he has to testify.
We'll see.
Do you have thoughts on that?
Murder defendants should not testify in their own trial.
Mm-mm.
In my opinion. I mean, if I were a lawyer, that would be the advice I would give. There's very little upside unless, especially if you have something like NPD and are a compulsive liar, there's just too much opportunity for impeachment. And if you don't testify, the judge's instructions on lack of testimony are so powerful. The judge literally tells the jury before they deliberate, you are not allowed to consider whether they didn't testify as evidence. That is, you're not allowed to do that. And I feel like that, there's very little a defendant could add unless they are an incredibly empathetic defendant who's going to cry the whole time and who for 100% sure didn't do it and has never changed their story. But he lied to the police. He admitted he lied. So he's immediately impeachable. So he should not testify.
No. I think
he's going to be convicted of murder if this goes to the jury. I stand by it.
I know you do. And I, for the most part, I agree with you. I just think that, even if there's just one juror who has reasonable doubt, and they have not proved murder yet. And that's what he's on trial for.
Yeah.
First degree murder. They haven't proved it. They haven't proved that it was premeditated. They haven't proved any of it. But I think that it's interesting because it's almost like a tactic a defense attorney would use where the prosecution is relying on the emotions of the jury.
Yeah, absolutely.
By showing them
they're just people.
Videos. Yeah.
They're just people. Anyway. And then they know that. That's why in the closing arguments, they always talk about the humanity of the victim. So,
yeah. So that's where we are. I will say, speaking of the humanity of the victim, I don't think Anna has been brought up enough in this case. I don't think that the jury is hearing enough about her as a human being. They hear that she had issues with her property. They hear that she had an affair. They hear that she lied to her boyfriend. She lied to her husband. She lied to the bar instructor. They're not talking about the fact that this was a 39-year-old woman who was in relatively good health, happy for the most part, with 3 young children who are somewhere in the foster system separated right now, even though Anna's mother in Serbia would probably take them. Their father is going to prison more than likely. He's going to prison anyway, but he's going to go to prison possibly for the rest of his life for dismembering their mother. And people are not talking about Anna.
Yeah.
And I think they have a very bad opinion about her because of the way that the evidence has been, or the way the testimony has been laid out. She was very brand conscious. They obviously had a ton of money. They both were liars. They were more concerned about their looks and what they owned and things like that than they were about human things. And it's like, at the same time, she was a human being and she was young and she had her whole life and her children ahead of her, and she had just gotten this job and it was a huge promotion and she loved it and she was trying to start a new life. And unfortunately, this happened.
Yeah.
Brian Walshe happened.
Yeah. I'll have a pro tip also for Brian Walshe. Don't clean your house with ammonia if you have dogs. Just throwing it out there.
So the way that
they'll pee. They'll pee where you use the ammonia.
Well, and also it stinks. I hate the smell of ammonia, but he stripped some of the varnish off of the hardwood floors cleaning. I mean, like, there's a knife that they found, like a butcher knife, that has been bleached. Like, the knife looks so bad because of how hard he cleaned this stuff.
Yeah.
So the only question I have still is, at what point during this trial are we going to find out, if we're going to find out, where Anna's body actually is or where it went? And why are we not talking about that so far?
Because they don't know. I mean, if they knew, they'd be asking questions about it.
Yeah, but they have all those surveillance from all these dumpsters. They didn't find anything in any of these dumpsters, any piece of her body.
When did they get the surveillance? And the dumpsters are probably emptied twice a week, right?
Yeah.
And it goes to a landfill.
But they found a bunch of stuff. I mean, they found all of the murder kit.
Yeah. Maybe he didn't use a dumpster to throw away body parts. Maybe he only used it for stuff. You know,
we don't know. What would he have done? What are you saying?
I would, it's very, very hard. It's shockingly hard to get rid of a body, especially the torso. Yeah. The torso is always what ends up being found.
Durst.
Unless you, probably the most reliable way that I've encountered in my reporting to get rid of a body is to put it in a tide where it's going to be carried away. But, I don't know. I don't know. The mafia did it successfully for 1 million years in the bog or whatever. And they just identified 2 victims of what they thought might be connected to the Long Island serial killer. Turns out they're not. An adult and a baby along the causeway.
Wait, they're not? I thought they were associated. I
think they just identified the killer or the potential killer of those 2 people. I think I saw that in the news. And they, that causeway on Long Island, along Jones Beach, like, he was dumping bodies there for years and years, and they were never found. So,
Cohasset,
a place that cars don't pass, a place that dogs aren't walked. There's a lot of space like that in New England still.
Yeah, and Cohasset's not far off from the coast, so he could have. I guess you're right. He could have gone to the ocean, but I still feel like even parts of the ocean, I think about like York Beach, I think about Hampton Beach, I think about Short Sands, Long Sands, all that. There's still surveillance cameras on all those businesses. So he would have had to go to some remote ocean area. If
it was the ocean, could have just been a side of the road dump. Could have been.
Crazy.
Well, we may never know. No, we might just be asking this question forever.
Insane to me. It's insane to me that you could just disappear somebody like that. But anyway, all right. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Rebecca, do you have anything else you want to add or?
Thank you to the folks who've sent tips for us. Mel puts a tremendous amount of time in this show, editing and so forth. And it's really, really helpful. It incentivizes us to keep going. So Mel has displayed her Venmo handle many times.
Many times.
And if you send us $5, $10, whatever you think we're worth, you could also join as a member. We will have membership benefits going forward on this channel at some point when we figure that out. So thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for your comments. We will be reading some of your comments on the podcast. And we didn't do that today because we were talking about dismemberment. So.
No, but I did put out a video with some of our favorite comments from the last video that just highlighted a few of the member comments, which I really appreciate you all. Just so you know, obviously money is great and it helps us, move this along and, pay for the streaming services that we have to use and the editing and all that stuff like that. But also, if you can't do that, if you're not able to, which I totally understand, please just subscribe, like, and share with all your friends and family, because anytime that you comment or like or anything like that, it moves us up in the algorithm and that helps us tremendously as well. So
post it on a forum where people are interested in the stuff we're talking about. Post it on Reddit if you're a Redditor, or post it on Twitter if you're a tweeter, whatever you want.
Yeah. And I'm going to jump into the trial because the trial's already started again today.
Okay,
and
great.
if anything crazy happens, I will let you know and maybe we'll jump back on the mic.
Can't wait. Thanks, Mel.
Thanks, Rebecca.